You're watching Greensboro Community Television, where we exalt the importance of ideas and information.
Hello, welcome once again to Greensboro Glimpses. You know, this time of year we are in a season that we call the holiday season, and when we speak of holidays, most folks think of Christmas, many people think of Hanukkah, but there's another special holiday that's coming up at this time of year too, and that's what we're going to be talking about on this particular program. That one is Kwanzaa. And as you can see, I have three beautifully dressed ladies that are with me here on this program, and they are all members of the Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective. And they're here to talk about not only Kwanzaa, but about a big event that they've got coming up to celebrate the holiday. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. On my immediate left here is Dawn Tafari. You have titles. Should I share the titles with you? Public Relations Coordinator of the Collaborative. And next to her is Dandra Boyd, who is the Entertainment, I believe, Coordinator. Yes. And on my far left is Tanya Poole. Tanya, you are the Vendor Coordinator.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, ladies, thank you so much. Let's just start out by talking a little bit about Kwanzaa itself. Many people may have heard the name, but don't know a whole lot about it. May think it's something recent, but actually it's been around since the 60s.
Absolutely. Kwanzaa was actually started or founded in 1966 by Dr. Malana Karenga. And if we think back to what was going on in the 60s and everything that was going on in our country during that time, we're at the height of the civil rights movement. The Black Power movement was on the rise. And so there was this need or this drawing for people, particularly African American people, to begin to reclaim their roots or learn our history and our culture. And so Kwanzaa came about in that atmosphere, in that environment of the 1960s. So it was a very powerful time period in which Kwanzaa was born. And it started out very small, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. And what Dr. Malana Karenga did was he incorporated a lot of African symbols and a lot of African words, Swahili words, into the celebration. And so even though it's celebrated around Christmas time, it's not a religious holiday, it's a cultural holiday. It's a holiday, it's a celebration to really get the community, and particularly people of African descent, to remember our roots and our heritage and our culture.
Very good. Well, talk to us a little bit about the Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective. Tell us about your organization, what you do.
Well, the Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective was founded in 2010, and pretty much we are a group of people, a group of families, small business owners who had celebrated. We were all, several of us, there are 5 of us total, and 3 of us at the time who were the initial founders. We were all transplants. You know, Nia was from California, Jamila's from Connecticut, or Baltimore, and I'm from New York. And we had come here and we were learning, we had known about Kwanzaa and had celebrated Kwanzaa in our respective cities. And we found that when we were here, during the whole week, because it's a 7-day celebration, we found ourselves having to travel to Durham or to Winston-Salem to have a full 7-day celebration. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to bring that 7-day celebration because, as you know, during that time of the year, December 26th to January 1st, the weather is not always very pretty. So to put your whole family in a car and drive 60 miles that way or 30 miles that way cannot be favorable. So we wanted to bring that 7-day celebration to the city. And so our mission is just to kind of take those principles, we call those the Nguzo Saba, and help the community to kind of reinvigorate and really understand what those principles mean, to bring together small businesses and organizations and families who are doing wonderful work to support cultural groups and things like that in the community. So that is the idea, is to bring this 7-day celebration to the city to unify the community in a different kind of way around these very important principles.
And you all are not full-time. This is something that you do specifically for this celebration, is that correct?
Yes, we work on it throughout the year, but you know, we all have our own jobs and we do lots of other things in the community, and and for our families. So we're very busy people.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Now, Kwanzaa, the word comes from a Swahili, a combination of or taken from a Swahili word. I can't pronounce it, but tell us about the origin of the Kwanzaa name.
Kwanzaa actually means first fruits. It is a Swahili word, and Kwanzaa is typically spelled or really spelled with only one A at the end. But when Dr. Maulana Karenga came up with Kwanzaa as a cultural celebration, he added a second A at the end. So it's spelled Kwanzaa, so that it would have 7 letters in it, representing also the 7 principles, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and the 7 days of the week, and all of those sorts of things. So Kwanzaa is a harvest celebration, and the word means first fruits.
Good. And on each day of the week during that celebration, you have a different emphasis, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's a different emphasis. And what we have in front of us, this is our Kwanzaa display or our setup. So just like with each holiday we celebrate, there's typically symbols, right? Christmas, there's the tree, things that you expect to see. So when we celebrate Kwanzaa, we lay out these 7 symbols that we have here. The first one at the bottom is called a mkeka, and this is a mat. And it's a woven placemat, because when you weave something, when you weave a fabric, it makes it really strong. So this represents the foundation. Then there's the kinara, which is the candle holder, not to be mistaken with the menorah, right, in Jewish, right, and with Hanukkah, but it has 7 candles, 7 holes as opposed to 9 like the menorah. But the candle holder is called the kinara, and it represents actually the parents, because the parents in our families hold up the principles. They hold up the light, how important they are. They stand on those people who have come before them. They stand on the foundation, and they hold up the principles. So the 7 candles are called the Mishuma Saba, and these are the 7 candles. And the 7 candles, as you see, there's 3 red that we put on our left, 3 black, 3 green, and 1 black. The red represents the struggle or the blood of Africa. The green represents prosperity or the land, and the black represents the people. And the 7 candles, the Mishuma Saba, represent the Nguzo Saba, which are those 7 principles that we'll talk about in just a second. So there's the Mkeka, the Kinara, the Mishuma Saba. Then there's the Vibunzi, which are the corn. The corn, you look at the ears of a corn, it looks like the kernels go on and on and on forever. And so the corn represents the children. And you put as many ears of corn on your table as you have children in your household. So that's an awesome way. And even if there are no children in the household, you always put 1 because it represents the future. Then there's the Mazeo, which is the crops here that are there. Like we said, Kwanzaa is a harvest celebration, so we always make sure that we have the bounty represented. This is called the Kikombe Cha Umoja, which is the unity cup. And we use that to pour libations. You've heard, like on old movies like Coolie High, where they say, pour a little something for people, my homies who ain't here, right? So that's actually an African tradition. Pouring out libation is a way of giving back to the earth. You pour water into the earth for the ancestors, to give back, to feed the earth, and to kind of ask the ancestors to pave the way. To pave the way for you to move forward. And then we have gifts, and the gifts are called zawadi. And we give children typically gifts during the Kwanzaa season we give them gifts for keeping their promises throughout the year. And usually they're handmade gifts. It's not meant to be something that we spend a lot of money on. So oftentimes they're gifts, books, and like I said, handmade gifts. And then we use what we call an alternate symbol or an extra symbol, which is the bendera, which is the flag there. So those are the 7 symbols, and we start off our Kwanzaa celebration with our 7 symbols on our table, and then we get started celebrating our 7 principles, which Mama Dendara is going to talk a little bit more about.
All right, well, let's take first of all, let me ask you this before we get into those. Now, is Kwanzaa universally celebrated throughout the African American community? Do most African Americans do it, or is it? How does that work?
I think it's still growing. Kwanzaa, next year we'll be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Kwanzaa. And so while you will find many African Americans who do celebrate it, I don't know if most would be, there's still, even when we celebrate, we've been doing this in Greensboro 6 years now, and every year we have lots of people who come to the celebration and say this is their first time celebrating. So it's one of those things, I think, just like with any movement, so to speak, it takes time, it grows. And so I don't know, what do you think?
I wouldn't say that most, but I also want to point out that it is also a Pan-African holiday. It's not just celebrated by Africans in America, but all over the world.
Okay.
You know, in Canada and Brazil, they have these types of celebrations all over the world.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of these principles, the 7 principles. The first one, and the Swahili word, I don't know if I can pronounce it right, umoja.
Right.
You got it.
And that means unity.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So there are 7 principles. We celebrate a different one on each day. And we'll, on the first night, like you said, it's unity, umoja. We'll light that first candle in the center. The black candle represents the unity. So us coming together as a people to work together and have a united front is very important. One of the principles that we start off with.
Okay, now does each family that celebrates this have this in their home and they do this, or is this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not just a central celebration. Then
Right.
it's
Right.
Everyone does that.
You
yeah.
do that in your home. You talk about the principles of each day and what they mean to you and in your family, and how you can bring those principles to life in what you do.
Okay, and the second principle, self-determination. What is it? Kujichagulia?
Kujichagulia.
Close.
Kujichagulia. Self-determination. We determine who we are. We set and define who we are as individuals and as a group of people. Taking this time to remember not to allow the outside world to define us. A lot of times the imagery that you see of African Americans is very negative, and we have to remember to define ourselves and not be led by what box other people want to put us into. And so Kujichagulia, my daughter wanted to make sure that I told everybody that is her favorite one, and that Kwanzaa is her favorite holiday to celebrate.
I can imagine, yeah. Now, do you have standard texts or books or sources that you use for this, or does each group that's celebrating this come up with their own ways of self-determination?
Well, there are some standard sources. I mean, Dr. Maulana Karenga has published lots of books, and there are many books out there. Dorothy Winbush has published a book. So there's some well-known authors who write about Kwanzaa, but there are it's kind of a standard celebration. You may see some variations in different things, but generally it's kind of a format as far as what the principles. You won't see any variation on what the candles mean, on what the principles mean, but how people interpret, how they celebrate those principles throughout the year, that may vary slightly. I mean, because we're human, right? We're all individuals.
Absolutely. Okay, very good. Then the next one is at Ujima.
Ujima.
And that's collective work and responsibility.
Collective
That's
work.
interesting, yeah.
Yes, so the best way for us to really build up our communities is to work together. You know, we have lots of efforts that we make that as individuals, but bringing them together so that we can have a really strong collective whole is really what we need to make it lasting. So,
Yeah.
Ujima is
Okay,
great.
now, collective work and responsibility, that could be taken several ways, I guess. Does that mean work in the sense of employment or job, or is it work in the sense of community service effort? Talk a little more about what that means.
Well, for Kwanzaa, it would be more in the sense of working for the community, and taking responsibility for what you have taken from the community and what you need to put back into the community. You can use your personal job, of course, to help you in doing that. And of course, we all need resources to help our community. So we have to have jobs, and if we can use our job to work together with other people, that's even a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then that brings us to the next one, which is Ujama. Is that right? Collective economics.
Ujama, yes, collective economics. Cooperative economics.
Yeah.
So using our money wisely, spending our money wisely. Particularly for us, trying to spend our monies in our communities so that we build up there first. Making a conscientious effort to give back to one another so that we can move forward and be a stronger community.
Well, as we get into these principles, it strikes me that they would be applicable and certainly appropriate for lots of people. Do you have any non-African Americans that participate in the Kwanzaa?
We do every year. We have all kinds of people, all races of people, so to speak, who come and celebrate with us. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and Nia, is that the next one? Purpose?
Nia is purpose. So living your life with purpose, having a goal, a center of where to go out from. Nia represents setting the goal in your life and moving forward to that. all of us need to have a sense of purpose. Otherwise, we kind of flounder around and not know what things we can offer. So looking at your gifts and using them to fulfill your purpose.
Okay, now these stay the same. I take it you don't change these from year to year. These
correct.
purposes stay the
right.
same. All right, the next one, Kuumba.
Kuumba.
Creativity.
Creativity.
Kuumba.
Leaving the world more beautiful than we found it. Touching things in a way that is creative, expressive. Using, a lot of times we making something out of nothing. What seems to be nothing. Making sure that we are making great use of our resources in ways that may be innovative or different. Using our poetry and song and dance and all of those arts, but it also can be used in business. Being creative about how we think about propelling our purpose and all these other principles into the world from our home.
Yeah. And then finally, Imani, is that right? Faith?
Imani, that's right.
Faith.
Having faith in the Creator and having faith in one another, believing in ourselves to be able to hold up these principles as we go throughout the year. It is important to have faith.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, going back to what I was getting at a minute ago now, do you all ever get called on to go into homes and lead some of these things and lead families in doing this, or is everybody pretty much on their own?
Not really so much in people's homes so much. We do guide the community during our community celebration, but we do get called into schools and organizations to do a presentation about Kwanzaa or to teach a class about Kwanzaa. We do that.
Yeah.
My schedule is getting very busy right now with school, doing several different school presentations next week. And a lot of families come to the big citywide celebration to learn how to celebrate. So some families may come on, some families may not come every day. They may come on Monday and then they say, well, we're going to try this out at home on Tuesday by ourselves and then, come back. And so it really varies. So like I said, some people will have a smaller celebration at home and then come celebrate with us. And I think we've been called on. I mean, people will call and ask for tips and things like that. And we have our website that has some information and some links to some sources. But we don't necessarily travel to homes. Right?
But people do this in their homes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And this grew from, we were all doing this in our homes. And when I moved to Greensboro, I always had a big Kwanzaa celebration on the last day on Imani in my home. And that's where the idea kind of sparked with me and Jamila, who's one of the other co-founders, is that we were outgrowing my home. We found that we're starting to get so many people, and we were talking. We said, well, we may need to do this citywide, make it public so that we can really share, because we noticed the thirst. Was really excited, and it's a wonderful celebration. It really is.
It sounds like it is.
Yeah,
it's been very enlightening. I know a lot of our viewers are learning things I'm sure they didn't know about Kwanzaa. Yeah, absolutely. So you do have this big celebration coming up. It starts December the 26th, the day after Christmas, and you've got it at several different locations.
Yes, we are excited this year. We have 3 different partners. When we first started our celebration, we were at the Hayes Taylor YMCA. They sponsored us for all 7 days, but as you may know, that they've transitioned in their space and that space. So we're going to be starting the very first day at the International Civil Rights Center and Museum, which is an awesome space, and we're really excited to partner with them. They're helping us out a lot. And then we'll be moving to Bethel AME Church on the 2nd and the 3rd day.
Yes,
right?
December 27th through the 29th.
27th through the 29th.
To the 29th. Yes. And then we'll be at Presbyterian Church of the Cross on December 30th, just that one day. And then we'll be back at Bethel AME Church for the last 2 days of Kwanzaa. So we like to move the celebration around as much as possible. I know it gets very comfortable when we have it in one place because people know where it is and it's easy to find. But we also want to be able to serve different parts, different areas in the Greensboro community, so that people don't feel as obligated to travel across town or something like that, and to show off these wonderful sites. When we have a site like the International Civil Rights Center Museum, which they open their doors at no charge. It's not for the guided tour, but for the Kwanzaa celebration. Even if you've never been to the museum, you get to go in and get to see the gallery while you're there for the celebration. And Bethel AME Church is right on Regan Street, and it's a wonderful open door church. And Presbyterian Church of the Cross has come come on board this year. So we just love that they open their homes to us, so to speak, to come and celebrate, into the community to see more. And it's really a mutual beneficial partnership that we have with these different locations. We're excited about that.
Yeah, I bet. Well, tell us some of the things that'll be going on now. What will people experience when they come to these?
Oh, wow.
So when one of the first things we'll do when people gather around, we'll have like a processional. There will be African drumming and music, and so we'll have a processional. We'll come out, and every night we are going to light the candles and talk about the principle of each day. Pour libations that we talked about with the Kikombe Cha Umoja. There will be entertainment, so there may be some dancers, there may be some spoken word, some singing, and also there will be a guest speaker each night.
A different speaker
a
each
different
night?
speaker each night to
Okay.
bring a message about the principle of the day.
Okay.
And also there will be a moment during the program to recognize those who came before us. So there's an ancestor tribute to recognize someone who has contributed to our community and is no longer with us.
The
What else?
Nguzo Saba Community Champion Award.
Yes.
Yes,
And that's an exciting thing that we've been doing now for, I guess, 5 of the 6 years. I don't think we didn't do it the first year, but we added it. And the Nguzo Saba Community Champion Award is our opportunity to honor those regular people, right? People who are doing work in the community, who have done important community work. And so in the past, we've honored people like Bamadele Demerson, who was the former executive director of the International Civil Rights Center and Museum. We've honored the Pulpit Forum. We've honored, this year we'll be honoring Brenda Dalton James and Mama Melinda Penix from Bethel AME Church, Jimmy Williams, Reverend Nelson Johnson, who's if most people know Reverend Nelson Johnson.
He's been on this program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So we'll be honoring him this year.
Yeah.
Before, and we honored him before as part of the Pulpit Forum, but we haven't honored, this is our first year honoring him individually. So we're really excited about that because he's done a lot of important work, and he deserves that. So Linda Mabry, Mayat Kara, and T. Diane Bellamy Small will be honored this year as well. So see those foot soldiers, you know, those people who are on the ground doing the work. We honor them, and it's not, we don't have any money. You know, we get some funding from Food Lion as one of our supporters. Wells Fargo supports us as well. Indigo's Cultural Arts Centers supports us. And we're partnering this year with Artists for Justice and Women's Temple and Kids Poetry Basketball and Morning Star Leadership Academy and the Sankofa Learning Collective. And we have these wonderful agencies who just buy in and say, we want to support you and we want to make sure that this event is a success. And it doesn't take us a lot of money to do this. We don't give these big awards. It's just, and I find that what the people who we honor really enjoy, and the people who come really enjoy, is just that being recognized for the work, you know, for the work that they do, that they don't do for recognition. You know, they do the work because it's in their hearts, you know, and because it's the right thing to do, because it's part of their nia, you know, because they're living their ujima. And so we select people to honor each day who we feel particularly live out that particular principle in a particular way. So that's probably one of my favorite parts of the program, when we take a moment to do that, because it's so important to give back. And I think that's what Kwanzaa's all about.
Absolutely.
Now you say we, is that, you were telling me earlier there are 5 of you, is that,
Yes.
you 5 make the decisions about who to honor?
Well, generally, right? There are 5 of us who are the Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective, and this year we've expanded. We have, did I say 5? 4 more partners.
Right.
That's what I said. Artists for Justice, Women's Temple, Kids Poetry Basketball, and the Sankofa Learning Collective. So they've joined forces with us for our 6th year so they've helped to make some of those decisions. So it's a nomination process, and then we sit down and we talk about, you know, who these people are and who should be honored. So it's really, and oftentimes it's a very democratic process, but it's a very easy process because we don't have to argue. I mean, who's going to say, oh, we shouldn't honor T. Diane Bellamy Small? Oh no, Reverend Nelson, no. You know, so it's really easy. Someone says we should do this, and we're like, that's awesome. So,
Well, are you, what I was leading up to, are you looking for volunteers or more people to join your collective?
Always looking for
yeah.
volunteers. We're always looking
Tell-
for volunteers to help out each evening during the
okay.
celebration because we
Good.
always need people to help. One of our other favorite parts of the program, the food.
Yeah.
We serve the community for free every single night. So it's a wonderful opportunity for people just to eat a good meal, good meal. We offer wonderful, delicious food. I must be getting hungry now because I'm thinking about it. But
Yeah.
we work with organizations or individual volunteers to help serve the food, to help clean up, to help set up. So we have volunteers every night. We're always pulling, if we don't have volunteers, who have come forward early on, we will pull them from the crowd and say, hey, can you stay after, or can you help serve the food? Or so we're always looking for volunteers.
Okay, well, if someone wanted to volunteer, what would they need to do?
They can call me, the number that's been on the screen, 336-582-0587, or they can visit us. We're on Facebook, GSO Kwanzaa Collective.
Right, we've
We're
had
on
that on the screen as well.
and Mama J, or I mentioned Jamila, she's our volunteer coordinator,
okay.
and she's an awesome woman, community outreach coordinator and volunteer coordinator, and she usually kind of wrangles up the volunteers and organizes that part. So if they contact me, I will put them in touch with Mama J so that their efforts can be organized. And I mean, we're moving into, like we said, Kwanzaa was founded in 1966, so next year will be our 50th anniversary. So, well, the 50th celebration of Kwanzaa, and so we really want to start celebrating earlier in the year. So those people who are interested, if they're interested in helping to fund events, or if they're interested in just wanting to be hands on the ground, we're really excited about welcoming them into the fold so we can make the entire year a celebration of this wonderful event.
Yeah. Well, where do you see this going? I mean, the collective. I know Kwanzaa, of course, is, as you say, is a work in progress and still growing. But how about the Greensboro Collective?
Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective. Where are we going?
We're
going to the
still
moon.
right.
Yeah.
We every year we sit down and discuss like what is our vision, what are our personal visions for our own lives. You know, where do we see us as individuals, Tanya, Dawn, et cetera, in the collective, and then we move forward from there. How do we want this year to look? So it's really just from year to year. How do we want to make it better this year than it was last year? How do we want to grow this year from where we were last year? I don't think we've completely worked out, where we're going fully, but
Well, to continue to celebrate. That's our main purpose, is
Sure.
to bring a 7-day celebration and continue to grow that and make sure that it continues on in the future. That's our primary goal.
Well, we certainly appreciate you coming on the
Yes.
program and sharing this wonderful information with us.
Thank you
And
so
wish
much.
you the
Thank
best
you.
going forward.
thank you.
Thank
so
you for
much.
having
You
us.
bet.
Yes,
We appreciate it.
you.
My pleasure. And as always, we thank
Thank
you
you.
for watching our program.
You're watching Greensboro Community Television, where we exalt the importance of ideas and information.